Hello and welcome back to my channel. I haven't posted in a few weeks. It's been kind of a weird month for me. October is always a little crazy just because it is the baseball postseason, and I think you probably know by now, but if not, I am a huge baseball fan. And this year my Philadelphia Phillies are in the World Series, so it's been quite a month of a lot of baseball watching and not so much reading. So I don't have a ton to talk about, but I have still been acquiring books at quite a pace. So I wanted to share some of the books I've received, some I bought myself, and just do a little bit of a haul. I've never done one, so I thought this would be fun. And I don't know when I'll get to most of these, but hey, that's what we do as bookworms. We collect books. Who knows when we'll read them. I've also been on reserve at work this month, which means all I know about my schedule is my days off. I don't know what trips I'll be flying. I don't know where I'll be going. I don't know what time I will have to go. And I don't know how much time I will have on a layover to get some reading done or go do anything. So that's definitely taken up a big chunk of my reading time, because I've just had back-to-back trips, and like the time that I'm not working, I need to sleep or pack or do laundry, and so it's just been kind of a busy month for me. I still have read, a decent number. I think I've read around 13 books. I've also just had a hard time focusing this month. It's been hard for me to stick with a book. I've started a lot of books and just had to put them down because it wasn't speaking to me. So oh well, but that's neither here nor there. This is a book haul, so let's get into it. First up, we have The Surrogate by Toni Helene. This was sent to me so kindly by Harper Books, so thank you so much for the copy. This looks so good. It is about a woman and her husband. They've met kind of later in life. The woman is in her 40s and the man is in his 50s, divorced, and has 2 teenage sons. I might have just made up that he's in his 50s, but whatever. So she really wants to have a baby because this is her first marriage and she doesn't have any other kids, and he just wants to make her happy. So they end up finding
This is where I start explaining the plot completely wrong. The book is literally called The Surrogate, and I started talking about some adoption thing. So just ignore this part. We'll get back to the real plot.
She basically changes her mind and doesn't tell them, and then takes off from the hospital with the baby after the baby is born. So it kind of becomes like a chase mystery thriller kind of book. I did read a book similar to this a few years ago called Other People's Children by R.J. Hoffman, which was like one of my favorite books of the year. It was actually like one of the very first books I read when I started doing reviews on Instagram, and so it's like holds a special place in my heart. But that book definitely feels like it's more like heartfelt and more, it's more contemporary fiction, whereas this seems like it's going to be more of a thrill ride sort of book. But either way, I'm really excited to read it, and thanks again to Harper for sending it to me. The next book I'm hauling is The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. This is actually an art copy that I got sent by St. Martin's Press, so thank you to them. This comes out in April, I believe, April 3rd, I think. So you got a little bit of time, but don't worry, I will let you know how it is before that happens. So this is about a couple in Australia. I don't really know exactly what's happened before the book starts, but they need a fresh start of their marriage. So they end up moving into this beautiful new house off the coast of Melbourne, and they have 2 young daughters, and this house is beautiful, and it seems like it's going to be a great place for them to kind of like restart their lives. And there's this huge cliff behind the house, however, and it ends up being a place where a lot of people go to take their own lives. So one day the husband sees someone about to jump, and he runs up there and kind of talks the guy down. So that kind of becomes like a thing he does. Anytime someone looks like they're gonna jump, he like tries to go and be the hero and talk them out of it. Until one day, a woman falls. The wife like sees him with his arms out, as in he pushed her. So then it's a whole thing, and it turns out that he knew the woman that he allegedly pushed. This is all in a synopsis, so don't feel like I'm giving you spoilers, but it should be really good. That sounds like an interesting premise. As much as I'm like in a very successful and happy marriage, I love reading about like marriages where people keep these like crazy secrets. I don't know. Mine's definitely not like that, but like it's always fun for me to read about. So hopefully I'll love this one. Sally Hepworth has a lot of books. The Mother-in-Law, The Good Sister. She has a lot of pretty popular domestic thrillers, so I'm hoping this one is a winner for me. The next one is Marlo Banks Redesigned by Jacqueline Firkins. This is like a rom-com about a woman who is a costume designer in New York City, and she ends up making some kind of big blunder and moves out to LA to kind of restart on her career, and she also has just ended her engagement, so she's just looking for a fresh start. She ends up getting a job as a production assistant on a TV show, and she's kind of not really digging it. Her boss is terrible, and so she's, not sure if this is necessarily a job for her, but then it seems like she will have some sort of connection with the star of the show. So I don't really know much outside of that, but it looks like it's going to be fun. I love those kind of books where you get like behind the scenes look of, TV shows, movies, that kind of thing. Just stuff that I will never know anything about personally, so it's really fun to read about. So I'm looking forward to this one, and it was sent to me by St. Martin's Griffin, so thank you so much for the book, and I really can't wait to read this one. Next up is The Girls by Emma Cline. I got this one when I was on my girls trip in Pigeon Forge earlier this month, so I'm so excited to read this. It's a cult book. We know we love a cult book. This is about, basically, I think it's sort of based on the Manson family, set in the end of the 1960s, and basically a girl meets these other girls in a park and like just idolizes them. They're beautiful, they seem so sure of themselves and know exactly what they want, and so she kind of gets sucked into their orbit and meets the leader, and yeah, it just sounds so like interesting. There are no limit on the number of cult books I'll read, even if they all kind of have similarities. It doesn't matter, I'm gonna read it. This sounds so good, and I'm so excited. I got it for $5.99, so I mean, I had to get it. What choice did I have? Next up is A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. I also got this one in Pigeon Forge when I was on that girls trip. Also was $5.99, so I'm pretty proud of my, great shopping skills for books. But this one is a horror book. I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get a chance to read it in October because it feels like it would be like the perfect spooky read, but honestly, I probably won't have read it by this time next year, so we'll save it for then. So this is about a normal family living in New England, suburban, middle class, and one of their daughters is diagnosed with acute schizophrenia, or at least she's displaying signs of it. But doctors are like not able to help her. She's just not responding to any sorts of treatment. And like as a last resort, the family calls a Catholic priest to do an exorcism. He in turn calls a TV crew because he thinks that this will make a great premise for a hit TV show called The Possession that's like, I guess, already aired. And this is like a new season. And the TV show blows up with the things that happen in the house during the exorcism, and just it becomes this stuff of urban legends, just this crazy sort of situation that happens. 15 years later, the younger sister of the girl who was exorcised is interviewed by a writer who wants to write a book about the whole thing, and so she was only 4 years old at the time, and she kind of just gives her side of the story, and the things that she remembers that maybe didn't happen, the things that she remembers differently than they happened, and just kind of like good and evil. And it just seems like right up my alley, the kind of like psychological horror. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. Again, I really wish I had gotten to it this month, but the last book I promise that I got from Pigeon Forge is The Measure by Nikki Ehrlich. This sounds crazy good. It is about basically at the same time, on the same day, every single person on the entire planet gets a wooden box delivered to their house. Literally, they could be homeless, just like delivered to their feet. And it inside contains exactly how long they have left to live. And so it's all like, are you going to open the box? Are you not going to open the box? What do you do with this information once you have it? It sounds so good. I'm truly so excited to read this. As soon as I read the premise, I was like, sold. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't even know if this is like sort of dystopian fiction or like straight sci-fi or none of that at all. I don't know, because that was all I needed to know that like, yes, I'm interested. I'm reading this book. So this one came out earlier this year, and I'm really excited to read it. Next we have The Last Party by Claire McIntosh. This is the same author as a book I read last year called Hostage, and that one was really cool, especially because it was about a flight attendant, which, you know, I'm also a flight attendant, so I always have a good time reading books about that. So I did enjoy that one a lot. I think that I'm really gonna like this too. The Last Party is about a rich guy who moves into this small town and this really tight-knit community in England, and he invites all of his new neighbors over for New Year's Eve. He's got a lot of money, and it doesn't seem like this is maybe the wealthiest of towns, so it's kind of weird that he moved there, at least to me. But he invites everyone over for New Year's Eve and a champagne-filled celebration, but by midnight he is dead floating in the lake behind his house. And in the morning, it's just kind of like a whodunit, I think. There's all these people here, and a lot of people had different reasons to want him dead, I guess. And yeah, it sounds really interesting. Sounds like a fun little thriller. I really enjoyed the last book she wrote, Hostage, so hopefully this will also be a winner for me. And thank you so much to my partners at Sourcebook Landmark for sending me this copy. Work with them a lot, and they are always so generous with their copies, so thank you so much. We're almost done, I promise. Next up is Sizzle Reel by Carlin Greenwald. This was so kindly sent to me by Vintage Books. So this is about Luna, who is a 24-year-old aspiring cinematographer. She has just kind of come out to herself and her friends as bisexual. She's definitely not ready to tell her parents, but she also has like zero sexual or romantic experience to speak of. She then catches the eye of an A-list celebrity who is very publicly out. She thinks that, okay, well, this is it. I'm gonna start dating a celebrity, I'm gonna lose my virginity, and I'm gonna be a cinematographer. Well, all of that, you know, kind of thing rarely goes as planned, and I don't know what happens after that, but it sounds really cute, and we love a queer rom-com. So I am super looking forward to reading this. It doesn't come out till April 18th, but I think it will be really good. I'm definitely hoping to read it well before then, so we'll see. It looks like a cute like summery book, so we'll see if I might need to wait for some warmer weather to dig into this one. Last but not least, we have A Hard Day for a Hangover by Dorinda Jones. This is actually the third book in a trilogy that I have read none of, but it seems like it could be read as a standalone as well. It is about a detective who lives in, a sheriff, and she solves murders. But it seems like it's definitely more on like, there's some romantic suspense, there's also some comedy, sort of like Finley Donovan is killing it, which I felt okay about, but it wasn't necessarily because of the content. It was just, I didn't find her a compelling character. Like the story, that kind of genre is fine with me, but it seems just like a funny, kind of romantic, suspensey, thrillery detective book. I don't know. It seems like a really fun time, and I don't think I'll probably read the first two before I get into this one. Hopefully that will work for me, but I will report back. This was also sent to me by St. Martin's Press, so thank you so much for the gifted copy. So there you have 11 books that I've recently acquired. I feel like I could sit here all day with different books that I've gotten recently, you know, have gotten since I've last shown on a video, but we could be here all day and I just don't have the energy for that. So that's what you get today. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would do so. Give this video a thumbs up, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!